All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at Bet Online. Oh, God, we're not doing Bet Online anymore. SCL Mortgage. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. I am ready to discuss the Denver Nuggets win last night. They take it over the Memphis Grizzlies, final score 117-109. A really good performance for Denver overall. They struggled to shoot for a while, and then they continued to struggle to shoot, and then they continued to struggle to shoot, but they didn't let it prevent them from scoring 117. That's a pretty impressive total. 5 total made threes and 117 points is that's pretty wild in the modern NBA. But Denver got it done. They fought. They did exactly what they needed to do, and it was great to see them handle business over the course of these last couple days. Hey, first time for everything. Glad to see everybody's serious now. Look at that. It only took traumatic events over the course of this past week. We'll get into all of it. We'll talk about it all. Nikola Jokic, as the title says, first center to average a triple-double in NBA history. He clinched that last night. Is he the new triple-double king? He's on the same team as the current triple-double king with Russell Westbrook. We'll talk about that as well. And we'll also talk about the final day of the regular season upcoming. That is going to be epic tomorrow, and I've got a whole bunch of different scenarios for you, so make sure to tune it in here. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Really quickly, this podcast, as you know, it's brought to you by our good friends over at SCL Mortgage. Are you looking for a great mortgage company that you can trust with hundreds of happy customers and a 5-star rating? SCL Mortgage could be the right company for you. They are fantastic. They help self-employed people. They help specialize in loans for the self-employed, as well as down payments on new homes, second mortgages, everything in between. Make sure to give them a call, 303-790-2222, or visit myspecialmortgage.com. All right, let's get into this. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Thank you for the love and support as always, folks. It's been a tough year, been a good year in terms of growth and I think an understanding. And unfortunately, the Nuggets, having a couple traumatic events over the course of these past few days, has it made them a better basketball team? Are they able to do it? True Teller says in the comments, Jokic needs 45 points in the final game to average 30 points per game. Can the Nuggets help him? Jokic will not help himself. He does not care about that. So you should have heard him answering questions about the triple-double last night. It was wild. Again, it's always wild to watch. Just he's like, okay, great. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That's about it. That's all we get. But it is interesting. And he was fascinated by a variety of I asked him some stuff about Christian Brown that I'll get into a little bit later, but let's get into this now. Ozer's here. He says, hi, Ryan. How are you feeling? Clippers better for us, Warriors or T-Wolves? I will get into all of that in the next segments. For now, let's talk about this current game. There will be plenty of time to discuss the playoff picture. I've got a couple of things, including this. So we'll get into that in just a second. The Nuggets approached this one in a different way because Jamal Murray returned. And I didn't know what the actual rotation was going to look like in this one, but it became pretty clear that Jalen Pickett had leapfrogged Julian Strawther in this specific instance in the rotation, and they were going to go with 2 point guards off the bench, 1 point guard in the starting lineup, and Jamal Murray. And Jamal played 32 minutes. I'm kind of surprised that he played as many as that. Early on in this game, it did not look like he should have been out there for that long. Still working his way back from the injury, and it's pretty clear he hadn't been going full speed up until that point, was very tired, very, very gassed. Like, it's easy to lose conditioning at that point. And he had talked about that. Like, you don't play for 2 weeks and you're off your feet a lot of that time. And yes, you're trying to work out a little bit, but you're doing 3-on-3. You're not chasing around John Morant. It's a little bit of a different conversation from a physical perspective. So he got off to a bit of a slow start, but he did get to the free throw line early, and that helped kind of save the points a little bit. But what really saved the points for Denver was Aaron Gordon, who, despite the fact not a lot of threes were going down for anybody, they went down for Aaron just about as much as anybody else. He was 2 of 7. The rest of the team was 3 of 18 combined, or 3 of 17 combined. But Denver could not throw a pea in the ocean, so they kept going at the Grizzlies. And usually in situations like this, when you've got a guy like Zach Edey out there for 33 minutes, you've got Jaren Jackson out there who wants to be protecting the rim, you should be trying to attack the perimeter. And Denver couldn't really do that. Michael Porter, 2 of 8 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, just not like... I thought he was pretty poor in this game. My brother had a different impression when I came home and talked to him, but I think a lot of that was because of the rebounding. Murray looked uncomfortable shooting threes. Christian Brown went 0 of 2. Jokic went 1 of 2. So just not a lot of spacing from Denver out there. And they went into the half shooting 1 of 15 from 3. And that was like absolutely a problem because Denver is going to need to, like, they're going to have to win weird games in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. And this was, I think I would classify it as a weird game where Aaron Gordon puts up 33 points. But like, you're going to need to find just ways to win, ways to scrap, and whoever is going to help you out needs to be out on the floor. And however you win is how you win. At this point, like, most teams know who they are. Most teams know how they're going to win. And in the playoffs, that gets thrown on its head a lot of the time because teams are game planning for you specifically. They're trying to take you out of your comfort zone. So can you win in different ways? And Denver, for the first time this season, really was able to win a game where they did not shoot and make enough threes to kind of compete. 5 of 24 from 3. I believe that Denver was 0-3 in games where they had made 6 or fewer threes before last night. So this was notable. Denver got to the free throw line. They got to the paint. And in situations like this where you're attacking the paint, you're trying to get into the teeth of the defense pretty consistently, usually that would lead to turnovers. Jokic had 5. Murray had 4. Westbrook had 2. Porter had 1. The rest of the team had 0. Denver only finished with 12 turnovers on the game, which is a very reasonable number. When Denver ties or wins the turnover battle, usually they're going to do pretty well. And this was one of those situations where Denver didn't beat themselves. And they were solid on the defensive end, especially in the second and fourth quarters when the bench came in. They deserve a ton of credit for that. But I just think that the turnovers and the ability to get out of your own way is such a big deal for a team like Denver in the playoffs where, yeah, if you get a shot up, if you get offensive rebounding position on a consistent basis, if you can get to the free throw line, that's awesome. If you take away the ability to give yourself a shot, it's going to make it very difficult for you to keep up with some of these teams, especially when the three-pointer isn't going down. So Denver did the right thing in this. That was a professional, grown-up thing that they did. And it started with Gordon, who was just taking it to Zach Edey a lot of the time because they cross-matched. Edey barely guarded Jokic at all. I was actually kind of disappointed that he never went out there to guard him. Jaren Jackson spent a lot of time on him. Santi Aldama spent some time on him. But it was kind of wild to see Edey just never guard Jokic. But like, look, sometimes it's how the cookie crumbles. And we've seen it a lot of the time with these teams that they don't want to put their center in the action with Jokic. I'm not really surprised by that given what Jokic can do to centers. But he finishes with 26 points. Jokic does 16 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals. Denver was trying not to go through him early on in this game, but they were really struggling, especially in that second quarter, to keep up with what the Grizzlies were doing. On top of Denver not shooting enough threes, Memphis was shooting a ton. They attempted 31 threes in the first half alone, while Denver attempted 15 and made one. And so you saw the disparity between these two teams, and they absolutely had to figure it out. Yeah. Don't Tell Santa Cruz says Mark Stein inside the NBA tweeted that the Cronkies will never trade Porter Jr. due to their relationship. What are your thoughts on that? I think that's true. I think that's Josh Kroenke specifically went to Missouri, and I think that they have a pretty tight relationship. But like at some point, if you're gonna, yeah, we'll see what happens this offseason. But in the past, Josh Kroenke has disallowed Porter to be traded. Like that is like he's prevented it from happening. So look, it is what it is. Denver absolutely needed this performance from Nikola, especially in the second half. He was pretty low volume, pretty low usage up until because I think he had 6 shots in the first half, maybe 7 or something like that. He finished the game with 19, got a little bit more aggressive, 26 points, 16 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals, was a plus 11 in this game. Big time stuff from Nikola, following up what Aaron Gordon did. And like Aaron Gordon was fantastic in terms of attacking Zach Edey, in terms of taking advantage of space, but also when guys like Ja Morant and Vince Williams and Luke Kennard were switched on to Gordon, he just wasn't going to let them get away with it. The other thing is that when Edey was rotating away from him, Gordon was just attacking from the dunker spot and got a whole bunch of dunks. I think he finished with 8 dunks on the game, which is tremendous stuff. Really liked what I saw from Denver. Porter struggled for sure. Christian Braun, not super involved, but like he did what he was asked to do. And honestly, I thought he did a pretty good job guarding Ja Morant overall in this game. Jamal Murray struggled. And it was the first 3.5 quarters or so that he was struggling. I think he had like 9 points, somewhere around there. And then comes back in at the 6-minute mark. I didn't know if he was going to close, but David Adelman went back to him and decided, hey, we're going to get you back out there, get you some minutes. And immediately Jamal pays it off just with some clutch baskets, with some awesome passing. Like throughout the game, he was passing pretty well. Did have 4 turnovers, but the 7 assists were notable, was a plus 10 in this game. And just continues to show that they need, like, if Denver is going to play a system where they don't always play through Jokic and they play through other guys, Murray is a guy that they can absolutely play through and just run different actions with, whether it's isolating, whether it's DHOs on the weak side that's not involving Jokic, whatever. Like he can absolutely get involved and stay involved. And clearly he was hampered by the injury, at least initially, and trying to figure out exactly what he could do from a physical perspective. But it was nice to see him kind of turn it back around and make some clutch plays, because that's just who he is. So glad to see him get back out there. He'll probably play on Sunday, probably won't play as many minutes, I would guess. I'd guess everybody plays about a half, maybe 3/4, depending on how hard Houston is going. But if Denver can get away with that, they should do everything that they can to save Murray physically for the playoffs, but get him ready to the point where he can handle a heavier burden. That would be very important. Final couple things on this game. Peyton Watson started this game very loud. He was good and bad at the same time. He also got hung on the rim for a dunk at one point, I believe, late in the game. But he was very notably loud in terms of some of the shots he was taking, some of the plays he was making defensively. Had a big dunk in transition off of a Jalen Pickett pass, and he was very good. Pickett did not play in the second half. That's notable to me. Denver basically going with an 8-man rotation in that second half where Russ was the primary point guard and then closed in this game, while Peyton Watson was a notable piece and DeAndre Jordan was the backup center. So there are I think we can see the trends that David Adelman is going to bring forward. He's going to play the guys that deserve to play. And last night, Russell Westbrook deserved to play. He was great defensively. He made some big shots. He was comfortable with the basketball. 4 assists to 2 turnovers is a perfectly reasonable ratio, especially in 27 minutes. He tied for or not tied, but he was pretty close to the team lead in plus minus at plus 11 and just made important plays. He was also the leading guy to guard Ja Morant in the closing minutes. I thought that was notable. Christian Brown had spent much of the time on him, but then he moved over to Desmond Bane because Bane had been killing Murray throughout the game defensively. And then Murray was able to hide on Scottie Pippen Jr., among other guys. Porter didn't deserve to close. And Denver's going to have to balance that. Denver's there's no Michael Malone, or not Michael Malone, David Adelman. Gosh, just it's going to take a lot of time to get used to. David Adelman does not need to cater to specific relationships right now, except to Nikola Jokic. That's the only guy that he really needs to worry about that much. He already has a relationship with all of these guys. But in terms of what he just needs to do, it's win the game. And however they can win the game is going to be how he approaches this thing. And I'm really glad to see Denver overall just respond to his coaching. They didn't respond to Malone. It's not. I still maintain that it's not Malone's fault entirely. He'll share some of the blame, and he should get some of the blame. But a lot of this is just Denver, I think, waking up. In it was a situation, I think Nikola basically told them, "Hey, you could be next, or you, and that to me is pretty notable. Just trying to play with the right urgency and the right levels. So glad to see them get it done. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Joker triple-double thing, as well as the final day of the regular season tomorrow. No games tonight, 15 games tomorrow. Going to be fun. We'll be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back, Pickaxe and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Let's get into this. Gonna be fascinating to see whether Nikola Jokic sets Russell Westbrook's overall triple-double record. I think it's possible. I think it's actually probable if I'm doing the math, if I'm doing the odds correctly. Jokic just collected his 34th triple-double, but what was notable from last night is he effectively confirmed that if he had 0 assists, 0 rebounds, 0 points in this next game, and checked in and then checked out, he would still be averaging at least 10 assists per game. And it's of course notable because it's the first time in NBA history that a center, a non-point guard, has averaged a triple-double. The only 2 guys in NBA history to do it were Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook. Russ did it several times. I think he did it 4 times, I want to say, maybe 5. He was in a situation in OKC, especially after Kevin Durant left, that he had to assume more responsibility. It wasn't necessarily the way that he wanted to play all the time, but he absolutely assumed that responsibility, and as a result, averaged crazy numbers. I'm looking at it now. In the 2016-17 season, he averaged the 31, 10, and 10. Then 25, 10, and 10 the year after, 23, 11, and 10. the year after, and then 22, 11, and 11 in Washington. It just was a monster that year. And like playing a different style and like having the ball in your hands as a point guard, it's always going to be a little bit easier. Jokic isn't bringing the ball up the floor, but he plays like a point guard in a lot of ways. And because of positionless basketball, I think a lot of people don't necessarily think as much of this. But in a large part, it's because Jokic has revolutionized the game. He's revolutionized the center position specifically. Teams need a center that can read the floor now. It didn't used to be a thing. It used to be like, all right, Clint Capella, DeAndre Jordan, that's fine. Mitchell Robinson, that's fine. All these guys that are rolling down Main Street, Roy Hibbert, sure, he made an all-star game. Like, it didn't have to be a thing for you to be a center that could pass. Really, the two centers that I remember passing while Jokic was while he was just getting into the league were Marc Gasol and Al Horford. And Horford was kind of a 4-5 hybrid who then had transitioned to the 5. But just in general, like what Jokic is doing now is something that nobody's ever thought would ever happen from the center position. And the fact that he has done this and kind of set this standard is insane. Now you see a lot more centers passing the ball, maybe not with as much accuracy and intent and volume as Jokic does, but you're going to see a lot more centers playing this style. Think about Jalen Williams over for OKC. He's modeling his game and they're modeling their style around Jokic. And it's pretty notable that he has been able to collect some triple doubles by mimicking that style. Doesn't make him as good. Like still obviously think that Jokic is the best center in the league, and the best NBA player in the league by far. Other teams are learning that they can do this, but only because Jokic has set the standard for so many times, so many games, so many years. On the year, he has 34 triple doubles. In his career, 10 seasons now, Jokic has 164 regular season triple doubles. I believe that ranks third behind only the top two in Russell Westbrook and Oscar Robertson. But let me check on that just to make sure. Triple doubles in your career, yes. Russell Westbrook's now at 203. He's had a few this year. I believe he's at 4. I want to say he had his 200 triple double, and then he's at 3 more. Oscar Robertson is at 181. So Nikola Jokic could pass Oscar Robertson as soon as next season. I mean, there's an outside chance that he passes Russell Westbrook next season, which would be crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. That would mean that he'd have to get either a triple-double in this game on Sunday or have 40 triple-doubles when Westbrook has 0 in the following season, which I just don't foresee. But like, Jokic at this point could very much pass Westbrook. And it just goes to show how special of a player he is specifically. For Westbrook to do what he did, he was the trendsetter. He was the guy that Oscar Robertson, nobody ever thought that anybody would break Oscar Robertson's record. Good Lord. Just brain is whirring too slow. Now Jokic is in this situation where he could pass Oscar Robertson's record. And the fact that we're in this spot with this player is just ridiculous. So I'm glad to see how things are being handled here. Yeah. Gonna be interesting to see. Will Jokic become the all-time triple-double leader? And who would take his place? Luka Doncic is at 82 triple-doubles right now. It's funny. Jokic has double the triple-doubles that Luka has, partially because Luka has not played as much time, but just in general, like, Luka will ultimately probably break whatever Jokic does because of where he's starting from. But there will also be other players who come in and play this style and figure it out. But not for a while. Not for a while. It's going to be fascinating to see if somebody like Luka can actually catch him. All right, let's pivot to the final day of the regular season. There are 15 games being played tomorrow, and I just want to complain about this one more time. The Eastern Conference is all set. Everybody knows where they're going to be in the Eastern Conference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, I think everybody is solidified, if I'm not mistaken. Chicago and Miami, maybe Atlanta and Chicago, like those teams are each separated by a game. But I believe New York cannot fall below 3. And I believe that Indiana is at 4, Milwaukee's at 5, Detroit's at 6. And like we know that those are going to be the playoff teams guaranteed. And we know which teams are going to be the we know which teams are going to be the play-in teams. Very annoying to have to deal with that and then deal with the Western Conference, which 4, 5, 6, 7 are not decided. Any of those teams between Denver, the Clippers, the Warriors, and the Wolves could fall into the play-in. Denver's in the best position because they have actually. No, I think Denver's in the best position because they face Houston, and we'll pull this up now. They face Houston in the final game. Houston doesn't have anything to play for in this game. As you can see, they are locked into the 2 seed. Houston has no reason to try. They might do it anyway because that's just what they want to do. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that they're going to rest their guys. I think Denver's going to play their guys, ensure that they're getting a win, and then rest after that. But who knows? Houston's third stringers could be Aaron Holiday and Jock Landale and Cam Whitmore and guys like that. We're going to see what happens and how hard they go. Jayshawn Tate, players of that nature. We'll see just how hard Houston goes. But if Denver wins that game, it's pretty simple. Denver's the 4 seed. They're the 4 seed right now. And because they're 49 wins, they would get to 50. And only the Clippers can get to 50 wins. And the Nuggets have the tiebreaker over the Clippers. You want to know why the Clippers have the tiebreaker, or the Nuggets have the tiebreaker over the Clippers? It's actually funny. On the schedule this year, Denver was going to play the Clippers in 3 games. And then the play-in tournament happened. Denver struggles in that. They don't advance to the elimination round. Second straight year that's happened. And you have to write in 2 extra games into the schedule. And Denver, for the second straight year, had the Clippers added to their schedule for the second time. And so last year, they played the Clippers 5 times. And I was so frustrated that they had to face the Clippers again because they're just boring team. They're not a fun team to engage with. There's just nothing fun about watching the Clippers play basketball to me. And also just the way that they attack teams. They're just hunting in isolation. They're finding the switch that they like and then running pick and rolls or isolations. And it's just boring. This year, the same thing happened, except Denver only played them 3 times. And so then they got a 4th game, and Denver won that game. It was a big one. And I remember Michael Malone talking about that and saying the NBA gave us a gift. And that was the actual wording that he used. Gave us a gift by putting a 4th Clippers game on the schedule so that they could be a tiebreaker. And I remember thinking back to back then, okay, well, I don't think that the Nuggets and Clippers are going to be tied. Well, they are. Sometimes crap happens. And sometimes you're in a situation where you need things to happen. And Denver, because of that extra game, could clinch the 4th seed in the playoffs. Kind of funny how things work. So Denver, if they win, they are a 4 seed. If they lose, it opens up Pandora's box, and Denver could go from anywhere from 4, 5, 6, or 7. If Denver loses, actually, I don't know if there's a scenario where they lose. No, okay. So if no, okay, if Denver loses, the Warriors beat the Clippers, and then the T-Wolves lose, then the Nuggets are still the 4 seed. Because in a 3-way tie between the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Warriors, the Nuggets win that, I believe, because they are 2-1 against the Warriors and they're 2-2 against the Clippers. I don't know about those other teams and the records that they have against each other. Sorry. But I believe that if those teams are 2-2 against each other, let me just check and confirm that. Oh no. Oh, wait. So, okay. The Clippers are 3-0 against the Warriors. Okay. So, yeah, if Denver loses, they actually cannot. Yeah, because the Clippers would then tie with the Nuggets and Warriors, and they would have the 3-way tiebreaker because you combine their 3 records against each other together, and the Clippers would be 1, the Nuggets would be 2, and the Warriors would be 3. So Clippers would be 4, Nuggets would be 5, and Warriors would be 6 in that situation. But that implies that the Wolves would lose to the Utah Jazz, and I just don't think that they will. Although Anthony Edwards looks like he got suspended for game 82 because of a technical. So like, who knows? Maybe they get that rescinded, maybe not. The Wolves should still be able to beat the Utah Jazz anyway because the Utah Jazz are trying to tank. Although, let's see. Do the Utah Jazz need to tank? This is the stuff that you guys come to me for, because the Utah Jazz, are they locked in? Okay. No, they are not locked in. So Washington and Utah, 17-64. They're each 17-64 right now. So Utah has to lose again in order to either stay tied for the number 1 pick, or if Washington were to win their final game, then they would jump ahead in the odds. It's marginal. It's basically the same thing, but it is notable. So I think Utah's going to try to lose that game to Minnesota. This is, wild. Okay, so let's go through the scenarios then. If Denver wins and Minnesota wins and the Clippers win over the Warriors, the Nuggets will be the 4, the Clippers will be the 5, the T-Wolves will be the 6, and the Warriors will be the 7. Warriors will drop to the play-in. The T-Wolves will be at 6. They'll face the Lakers. The Nuggets and Clippers will face each other on the side of the OKC Thunder bracket. If the Nuggets win, the T-Wolves win, and the Warriors win, then that becomes a 3-way tie. And the Wolves win that tiebreaker. And so they would be the 5 seed in that situation if the Wolves win versus Utah and if the Warriors win versus the Clippers. The Wolves would be 5, the Warriors would be 6, and the Clippers would be 7. So, it's a stressful one for Denver because if you want to face the Wolves, then you want like the Wolves to win, you want the Clippers to lose. You want the Warriors to win. If you want to face the Clippers, which I think most Nuggets fans would prefer to face the Clippers than face the Wolves, then you want the Clippers to just win and make this not a conversation. I think at this point, because of the way the season has gone for Denver, this doesn't really matter. Like, if you face the Wolves after firing your coach and the Wolves beat you, then yeah, you're probably going to make some changes in the offseason. You're probably going to break up your core 4. You're probably going to make some drastic decisions, whether it's hiring somebody like, maybe you're keeping David Adelman, maybe not. But like, if you want to see the Nuggets advance as far as possible, I think you should be looking to try to face the Clippers personally, because I think that the Clippers are probably an easier matchup than the T-Wolves, despite the fact that the T-Wolves have owned Denver over the course of these past few games. I think the Clippers they're good, but I think that Denver can match up with them a little bit better because of the physicality and athleticism factor. I think the Wolves are younger. They play fresh. Like Anthony Edwards is just a guy that Denver can't guard. Can they guard Harden? Can Christian Brown make it more difficult on James Harden than he can on Anthony Edwards? I think so. Can Aaron Gordon match up a little bit with Kawhi Leonard? I think so. Can Denver play a little bit smaller and do the things they need to do? Can Michael Porter have a better series against the Clippers than he can against the Wolves? I think so. So I think the Clippers is the right way to go. I could be wrong about that, though. Who knows? What I do know is that if Denver loses, they are very vulnerable to dropping to the play-in. Some people prefer that because they think that the Rockets are the easier matchup on the schedule for them than a team like the Clippers or the T-Wolves or the Warriors or whoever. There is a scenario where Denver falls to 6, but it's very unlikely. It involves them losing, Denver losing, but then the T-Wolves also losing to Utah. And for the Warriors to win against the Clippers. So, I don't think you're going to see Denver face the Lakers in the first round. You're most likely going to see them face the Clippers or the T-Wolves. Can they face the Warriors? Yes, but you would also need the T-Wolves to lose. You need Denver to win, and then you would need the T-Wolves to lose to Utah. I just don't think that the T-Wolves are going to lose to Utah, but it opens up Pandora's box if they do. Couldn't it be interesting? They're currently in the play-in, so I don't think that the T-Wolves would want to be there facing Memphis. They may feel like they can beat them, but suddenly you get yourself into a situation where you have to win to get in. It's a stressful thing. So we'll see what happens, but Denver is in an interesting spot right now. They can only really control their own destiny because of what happened. Had the Clippers lost last night on a DeMar DeRozan buzzer beater attempt against the with the Kings, had the Clippers lost last night, Denver would have guaranteed a playoff spot because the Clippers would not be able to pass Denver no matter what the playoff situation. So I think that Denver's going to play everybody. I think they're going to try to win. I don't think they're going to be trying to game the standings that much. They're going to try to play the right way and let the chips fall where they may. If Denver has to face the Wolves in the first round, so be it. They would probably prefer to face the Clippers. No matter what, they're probably going to have to face OKC at the end of it, and OKC is dangerous as hell. So, it's going to be a weird end to the season. It's going to be complicated, going to be weird. These teams are going to feel like there's just going to be a lot of drama, I think. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you're looking forward to it. You know that I'll cover all of it here. That is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at SCL Mortgage. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. Really appreciate the love and support on the podcast as always. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on your way out. Would really, really appreciate it. Gonna be a fun Sunday. And you know that I will be getting back to this on Monday, and I'll be up bright and early on at 10 a.m. Should be fun. Everybody have a good weekend. Good luck to the Nuggets on Sunday. We'll talk to you guys very soon.